Hey, what's up? Welcome to this new video. This one is paper 1 of May-June 2003 for A-Level Math, paper 1. Now, with that being said, let's move on to question number 1. So here we have to find the value of the coefficient of 1 over x in this expansion. Now, we have to understand what is the coefficient of 1 over x. For example, if I ask you for the coefficient of x squared, for example, the value in the beginning or in front of x squared will be called the coefficient of x squared. Same thing, the coefficient of 1 over x is simply the value in front of 1 over x. So let's see, how can we find this? So now we know that we have to expand this binomial expansion. So I have 2x minus 1 over x power 5. Now, I do know that by using the formula, we can have an expansion as follows. I will have 5 because the power is 5, that will be 5. Choose something we don't know yet. And then the first term is 2x. And then here we have minus 1 over x. Now, if I choose the power here, for example, let's call this y. This will also be y, and that will be 5 minus y. So this is the normal, not normal, but usually this is how you would expand one of the term of this expansion. Now, I have to choose y such that the term will have something in 1 over x. So let's see, how can we do this? So let's do this by trial and error. Obviously, it is done by trial because we don't know exactly which one is going to be, so we can observe and see which one we have to choose. Let's say, if I choose y to be the value of, let's think, so here we need 1 over x, so we need this to be remaining 1. So let's choose y to be 3. So you will have 5, choose 3, that will be 2x, 5 minus 3 is 2, and then minus 1 over x, that will be 3. So now you can see, in this case, I will have what? 5 choose 3, that will be 10, that will be 4x squared multiplied by minus 1 over x cubed. Now simply we just have to simplify. This one will cancel out with this. So you will have what? Minus 40 1 over x. So the coefficient of 1 over x will be the value in front of 1 over x. Your answer will be minus 40. Now again, this is only one of the ways of doing that question. However, if you guys are not comfortable with this method, you can always expand everything and then choose the one which has the term 1 over x and just provide the coefficient as your value for your answer. This is the question for this binomial expansion. So let's move on to this new question. So find all the values of x in the interval of 0 to 180 which satisfy this equation. Okay, so here we have what? We have sine 3x plus 2 cos 3x equal to 0. Now, as always, whenever we have sine x or cos x, because the angle here is the same, 3x and 3x, whenever we have cos and sine in the same equation, we divide by cos. So here we have 3x, so that will be cos 3x. So you will have what? Let's see. So sine 3x divided by cos 3x, you will have sine over cos, that will be tan 3x, right? And here we have 2 cos 3x divided by cos 3x, that will be 1, equal to 0. So tan 3x equal to minus 2. Now you can see that here we have a negative value, so we have to use the quadrants. So when tan, so this is ASTC, right? Now, when tan is negative, it will be in the second quadrant and in the fourth quadrant. That makes sense. Now, because here it is negative, I will proceed by the other way. I cannot find the value directly. I will have to call this, let's first find the value of theta. Theta will be tan inverse of the positive value that we have over here. Now again, theta is not a real angle. It is just a prop that I'm using right now to help me eventually find the correct angle. I only do this because it is negative. I don't like to proceed directly. That is my personal preference in this case. So theta will be what? So here we have to use degrees. Tan inverse of 2, that will be 63.4. So this will be in the, this is the value in the, so usually when it is positive. However, by observing on the diagram, you can see you have to be this angle. This is what? 180 minus theta. And this have to be 360 minus theta. Okay, so finally, the value of 3x, according to the quadrants, have to be first is 180 minus 63.4 or 360 minus 63.4. So 180 minus 63.4, that will be 116.6, and 360 minus 63.4, that will be 296.6. Now, so right now we have what? Right now we have 3x is equal to 116.6 and 296.6. Now, because here we have 3x, we can try and see what other angles do we have. Now again, the number in front of x is just means, it usually means the revolutions. So let's check and see if we have any possible values. Right. So we have to add 360 to this one and 360 to this one. So the reason why we do this is because we don't want to miss any values that are possible, that are also available for our equation. Because usually for 4 marks, they will give you a few marks for these values, and sometimes we may have other values as well, which is also eligible for our answers. Let's check. So 116.6 plus 360, that will be 476.6. 296.6 plus 360, that will be 656.6. Now, another way to look at this is, let's go have a look at the interval. So we know the interval is x have to be between 0 and 180, right? But here we have 3x, so 3x have to be between what? 0 and then 180 times 3, that will be 540. Okay, so now we can already see which one is too much. So here we have 3x, so this is okay, but this is too much, so we don't need this one. So finally, x have to be 116.6 divided by 3, that will be 38.9. 296.6 divided by 3, that will be 98.9. And then 476.6 divided by 3, that should be 158.9 degrees. Again, degrees, we always try to write them correct to 1 decimal place. I guess the only part that is kind of interesting here is this. Whenever we have a negative value, we have to know where is the angle going to be found, right? That's the first thing. And then because I have negative here, I will first try to find the props angle. It is not the real value yet. It is just helps me out to find the real value of 3x we have here, and then eventually proceed one by one to find all the possible values that are eligible for your answer. In the end, you will end up with these 3 values. And this is a question relating to trigonometry. So here we have differentiate 4x plus 6 over x squared with respect to x. So pretty easy. The first thing, let's rewrite this as follows. That will be 4x plus 6. We can send the power up. That will be x minus 2. So d by dx will be what? Will be simply 4. Then we have to multiply by the power. That will be minus 2 times 6, and then minus 1 to the power. That will be 4 minus 12 over x cubed. That will be d by dx of your term right here. Now for part B, we have to find integration of 4x plus this. So let's replace 4x plus 6x power minus 2 dx. Simplify. So here we have 4x. So 4x, 4 is 4. We have to increase the power by 1. That will be 2 divided by 2 power. Now same thing, 66, increase the power by 1, that will be minus 1 divided by minus 1. Obviously, you have to write plus c for the constant of integration. So this will cancel out with this, that will be 2. So you have 2x squared minus 6, that will be over x plus c. Okay, and that will be your answer for this question. One is differentiation and one is integration. So here we have in an arithmetic progression, the first term is minus 10, so this will be a will be the value of minus 10. Now the 15th term is 11, so 15th term have to be 11, and the last term is 41. Now again, we don't know the last term, that will be T of L will be 41. And the question will be, find the sum of all the terms in the progression. So sum of the first L terms. So of all the terms will be what? So now again, in this case, we know the type of progression that we have. It is an arithmetic progression. So once we know this, we can first write down all the formulas that we know about this progression. So we know that the n term is given to you by what? By a plus n minus 1 times d, and the sum of the first n term should be half times n 2a plus n minus 1 times d. This is given to you on your list as well. You don't need to memorize that. However, I would always advise to do so you don't waste time. It is up to you, obviously. Now, let's go ahead. So here we have the first term is minus 10. And we have the 15th term is 11. So we can use this first, because if you realize we have the value of a, but the value of d is missing, right? So we have to find d, first thing first. So let's do that. Replace. When the term is 15, the value is 11. So let's use that knowledge to find the value of d. So let's replace. So that will be t of 15 is equal to a is minus 10, plus n minus 1 is 14, times d we don't know, is going to give you 11 according to the question. That will be 14, d have to be 21. So d have to be 21 divided by 14. That will be 1.5 as your value for d. So this is part 1, where we realize a is minus 10 and d have to be 1.5. Now moving on, we have to know how many terms do we have in this progression. So we know that the last term, T of L, is given to you by 41. Which means when n is equal to L, the last term, the value is equal to 41. Replace back in the main equation, so you will have T of L is equal to a is minus 10, plus L minus 1 times d is the common difference that we have just seen, 1.5, have to give you the value of 41. So let's solve step by step. That will be 1.5, L minus 1, that will be 51. L minus 1 have to be what? 51 divided by 1.5, that will be 34. So L have to be 35. So this means that the last term is actually 35th term, which means we have 35 terms in total. Now, we have to find the sum of all the terms, which means we have to find the sum of the first 35 term. That will be replaced back in the main formula right here. That will give you what? Half times n is the number of terms, 35, and 2 times a will be minus 10, plus n is 35 minus 1, times d, that will be 1.5. Okay, so let's see what do we have. Let's do the inside first. You will have 2 times minus 10, and then plus 34 times 1.5. That will give you 31. So half 35 times 31. So let's double check. So minus 20 plus 34 times 1.5, that will be 31 times 35 divided by 2, that will give you 542.5. Okay, so that will be the sum of the progression of all the terms in this progression. And that will be a question in regards to series. Now we have the function of f is defined by f of x equal to ax plus b. X can be any real value, so x can take any values for this function. Now a and b are constant that we can see here, a and b. Now it is given that f of 2 is 1 and f of 5 is 7. So let's find the values of a and b. So pretty easy, use the given values over here to find that. So first part, let's use f of 2 is equal to 1, which means when the value of x is 2, the value of f will be 1. Replace, so that will be value of f is 1, x will be 2, so that will be 2a plus b. So let's make b become the subject. You will have b will be 1 minus 2a. That will be my first equation. Now for this one, f of 5 is equal to 7, now which means when x equal to 5, the value of f is 7. Replace back, you will have 7 is equal to 5a plus b. Now let's make b become the subject, so b will be 7 minus 5a. That will be my equation number 2. Okay, so let's replace. Here we have b, here we have b. Obviously here we have two equations, we have two unknowns. We are trying to solve a simultaneous equation. So we have 1 minus 2a on one side equal to 7 minus 5a on the other side. Now let's send all the a to one side, so minus 2 plus 5 will be 3a, and that will be 7 minus 1 will be 6. A will be the value of 2. Now from this, let's find the value of b. b will be 1 minus 2a, that will be 1 minus 4, and that will be minus 3. From here we can clearly see we were able to find the values of a and b. A will be 2 and b will be the value of minus 3. So which means the value of f of x, or fx, is equal to 2x minus 3. Simply a straight line. Now part 2, we have to solve the equation f of x equal to 0. So pretty easy. Let's write this down. f of x is what? It is simply f of x, which means that will be 2 f of x minus 3 equal to 0. Let's solve. So here we have 2 times f of x, which was seen to be 2x minus 3 equal to 0. So let's try to simplify this. So you have 2 times 2x minus 3. We'll send this over here, becomes 3, and you will have 2x minus 3, that will be 1.5. Now 2x, that will be 4.5. X have to be 4.5 divided by 2. That will be 2.25. So this is your answer for the question in regards to function for f of x equal to ax plus b. Let's move on to the next question. Here we have what? Sketch the graph of the curve y equal to 3x. Okay, for the values of x between minus pi and pi. Okay, great. Now, this is the part 1 of the question. Again, this is only a sketch, so as always, whenever we have to sketch a graph, we always try to use a table of values, because it will just help us to know exactly which point we have to join to form the smooth curve. Now part 1, this is my x value and my y values. Be this, and what is the interval we have to choose? To choose the interval, we have to look at the value here. It is 1, so that will be pi by 2 divided by 1, that is simply pi by 2. So the interval will be pi by 2, so this will be plus pi by 2 will be minus pi by 2, then will be 0, then pi by 2, and then pi. Again, pi by 2 is simply 90 degrees. So initially, we always begin with 90, and we divide by the value which is in front of x. Here we have 1, so divide by 1, that will be still 90. So 90 degrees will be your interval between the values of x, which is pi by 2. Now, minus pi plus pi by 2 will be minus pi over 2, plus pi by 2 will be 0. So as you can see, as going on, we have this interval that we need to form the graph. Now let's find the corresponding values of y. We place this back in the equation. Here we have to use radians. So 3 sine of minus this, that will give you 0. Then we have over 2, that will be minus 3. And again here we have 0, that will be 0. Pi by 2, so 3 sine pi by 2, that will be 3. And this will be 0. Let's check. 3 sine of pi, that will be 0. So as you can see, clearly we have these points, we have to join them to form the graph. So let's try our best here. It is only a sketch, so it doesn't need to be exact. So we can do that and do this. This will be the x values and the y values. Here it is 3, here we'll have minus 3 for example. Right, and here we have pi by 2. It's over here. That will be minus pi and pi. So let's mark the points. So here first one is 0, and this will be 0, and this will be 0. And we know this will be minus 3, so minus 3 is right here, and this will be 3. That will be what? That will be this, that will be this. So connection, this, and this, and this. As you can see, this is a sketch for a graph of y equal to 3 sine x between the domain of minus pi to pi. Okay, that is part 1 of the question. Now for part 2, the straight line y equal to kx, where k is a constant, passes through the maximum point of this curve for this. So let's think. We have a straight line y equal to kx. Great. This is a straight line. Now, it passes through the maximum point for the curve. So observe, where is the maximum point? It will be this point. This point is a maximum point, which is the point pi by 2 and 3. This is the maximum point of the curve. So we have to use this information to find the value of k in terms of this. So pretty easy. This is the point, which is the x value and the y value. Replaced back in the equation. Y, when y equals to 3, the value of x was given to you by pi over 2. So which means, from here, k have to be, we have to do what? Cross multiply, that will be 6 over pi. This is the value of k. So let me simplify this if you guys don't understand. So we have 3 equal to k pi over 2. We can just cross multiply. So 3 times 2 is 6, and then we have k pi. So k have to be 6 over pi. In terms of pi, the value of k will be 6 over pi. Now for part 2, we have to state the coordinates of the other point apart from O, where the line and the curve intersects. So let's find out, where does it intersect? So now we know that y is also equal to what? K is 6 over pi x. This is my equation of the line. Now where does the curve also meet? So very simple. If you observe, this curve is symmetric, right? If my line passes at the maximum point, it also means that it would pass also at the minimum point. That's why it says state should be pretty easy with no calculation, just by observation and kind of understanding that your curve is symmetric. If it passes through this point, it will go through O, and it will also pass through this minimum point. So part 3 of the question, the point will be minus pi by 2 and minus 3, which is your minimum point on the curve. And that will be the question in relation to trigonometry. So the line L has equation 2x plus y is 8. And the line L2 passes through the point A and is perpendicular to the line L1. So pretty easy. We have a few information here. Let's see how we can do this. So part 1, we have to find the equation of line L2. So again, we have to find the equation of a straight line. Now to find the equation of a straight line, we must first find its gradient. How do you find the gradient of L2? So we understand that the line is perpendicular to L1. So since we know that L1 is perpendicular to L2, we can use this knowledge. The gradient of L1 multiplied by the gradient of L2 have to give you the value of -1. That's what we have to know for this question. So to find this, we need to first find this. So what is the gradient of L1? So let's observe. The equation of L1 is given to you by 2x plus y is equal to 8. So y will be minus 2x plus 8. Now by comparison, y is equal to mx plus c. The value here will be the gradient, right? So we know this. So conclusion is the gradient of L1 have to be -2. Now replace back in the main equation. So m of L1 is -2. So we know that -2 times gradient of L2 have to give you -1. So the gradient of L2 have to be the value of half. So here we have the gradient of the line L2. So we know the gradient, we know the passing point, which is 7, 4 given to you by the question, right? Passing point right here. This is my x value, my y value over here. So to find the equation of a straight line, we take the y value, we minus the corresponding y value over the x value minus the corresponding x value. That will be equal to the gradient, which is half. Then we just have to cross multiply and simplify. Bam and bam. So that will give you what? 2y minus 8. That will be x minus 7. So 2y will be x minus 7 plus 8. That will be 2y x plus 1. So this will be the equation of the line L2. Again, if you want to, you can always do this. Divide by 2, you will have half x plus half. It is up to you. You can leave this or this as your answer as well for equation of line L2. Now, given that the lines L2, L1 and L2 intersect at the point B, find the length of AB. So pretty easy. Now as you can see here, we have intersect. That will lead to a simultaneous equation. Right. So this is my equation number 1 for the line L2. And my equation number 2 for the line L1 was found to be what? Found to be, it was given to you by y equal to minus 2x plus 8. Equation number 2. Right, let's solve this. So here we have 2y, replace y by this, you will have minus 2x plus 8 equal to x plus 1. So you will have minus 4x plus 16, that will be x plus 1. So simplify, let's send this over here, you will have, and send this over here. So 16 minus 1 will be 15, and x plus 4x will be 5x. So x will be 15 divided by 5, that should be 3. Now continue, replace back in your equation number 2. So y will be what? Minus 2 times 3 plus 8, that will be minus 6 plus 8, that will be the value of 2. So the point B is found to be 3, 2. Right. So now we have to find the length of AB. A was found to be 7, 4, and B is this. To find the length, obviously, we can just use the formula that we know. The length of AB, square root, will take the value of x2 minus x1. So 3 minus 7, that will be minus 4 square. That will be what? 4 square will be 16. Plus y2 minus y1, that will be 2 minus 4 will be minus 2, square will be 4. That will be root of 20. Can give you an answer in terms of decimal as well. That should be 4.47 units for the length of AB. And this is the question in regards to geometry. The points A, B, C, and D have positions this, and this, which means, let me write this down. Position vectors means from the point O, so OA is found to be 3, 0J, and 2K. And we have OB, that will be 2, minus 2, and 5. And we have OC, that will be 0, 2, and 7. And finally, OD, that will be minus 2, 10, and 7. Okay, these will be the position vectors of A, B, C, and D given to you by the question. Now, part 1, we have to use scalar product to show that BA and BC, they are perpendicular. So let's first find these two directions, BA and BC. So pretty easy. First one, BA is equal to what? Equal to OA minus OB. Now again, I do have a video about this. How do I know it is this? It is the direction we have to understand. So if you guys go search vectors on my channel, you will have a video about this. Now let's simplify. So we have OA is given to you by 3, 0, 2. And OB is given to you by 2 minus 2, 5. That will give you what? 3 minus 2 is 1. That will be 2, and that will be minus 3. That will be BA. Now moving on, we have BC. That will be OC minus OB. OC is what? OC will be 0, 2, 7. And OB again, it is 2 minus 2, 5. That will give you what? Let's see. So 0 minus 2 will be minus 2. That will be 4, and that should be the value of 2. Okay, so here we have these two values that we need to find, BA and BC. Now we need to show they are perpendicular. So we have to know this by using dot product. If these two, they are perpendicular, their dot product have to give you the value of 0. So let's replace and see if that is actually true or not. So BA is found to be 1, 2, minus 3, and BC was found to be minus 2, 4, and the value of 2. So here we have to do one by one. So 1 times this will be minus 2 plus 2 times 4 is 8 plus minus 3 times 2 will be minus 6, and this will be 0. If we see 0, this confirms it is perpendicular. That is what we know about part 1 of the question. Move on to part 2 of the question. So we have to show BC and AD are in the same direction or parallel, and find the ratio of the length of BC and the length of AD. So let's find out. We know BC for part 2. BC was found to be what? Minus 2, 4, and 2. Now let's find the value of, or direction of AD. It will be OD minus OA. So OD was found to be what? OD was given to you by minus 2, 10, and 7. Now minus OA, OA was given to you by 3, 0, 2. That will be minus 2 minus 3, that will be minus 5. 10 minus 0 is 10. 7 minus 2 is 5. Okay, so here what we can do is we can simply factorize. If you see, take out the value of minus 2 or even 2. Let's take out 2. You will have minus 1, 2, and 1. Here, take out the value of 5. You will have minus 1, 2, and 1. Now you can see clearly that here and here they're the same, which means confirmed that BC is a multiple of AD. So by showing this, we conclude that BC is in the same direction as AD. So this is good for part 1 of the question. Again, the only thing we need to find out is the direction. If they match inside minus 1, 2, 1, minus 1, 2, 1, we can write this. BC is a multiple. M is any constant. You can write K, S, T if you want to. I chose M for some reason, equal to the other vector. So by writing this, you confirm that BC is parallel to AD. That is part 1 of the question. Now for part 2 of the question, you can see here, we have to find the ratio of the length of BC and AD. We have 2 ways of doing that. Let's use the easiest way. So we realized that from this part 1 that we had what? We had BC was equal to 2 minus 1, 2, and 1. And AD, right, AD was found to be what? To be 5 minus 1, 2, 1. Now, we were able to show that BC is a multiple of 80. Right. Now let's replace and see what do we have. For example, here we have 2. That'll be 1, 2, 1. Have to be. So we don't know this value of m. We have to kind of find this value of m. Oh, how do we find m? Easily. Let's make this easy for you. M will be simply BC divided by 80. Replace, you will have 2 minus 1, 2, 1 divided by 5 minus 1, 2, 1. This will cancel out. You will have 2 over 5. So you can see that the ratio of BC against AD have to be 2 to 5. And this is one way of doing this question. And the other way is also pretty easy as well. If you observe, we can do this. We can first find the length of BC. That will be what? Let's find the length. So BC was minus 2, 4, and 2. So we have to have 4 plus, so let me expand this. BC was minus 2, 4, and 2. And 80 was minus 5, 10, and 5. So that will be the length will be 4 plus 16 plus 4. That will be root of 24. And the length of AD will be what? 25 plus 100 plus 5. So 25, that should be 150. So the ratio of BC, which is root of 24, against root of 150. So let's find out. Root of 24 divided by root of 150. That will be, bam, 0.4, which is 2 over 5. So 2 over 5 will be the ratio of the length of BC and AD. And that will be your question in regards to vectors. The diagram shows a semicircle ABC with center O and radius 8. This is the radius 8 and the center is O right here. Now, the angle AOB is it's theta radians, not pi. Okay, that's the given information that we have. Now, what can we derive? If this is pi, we understand this have to be, if this is theta, this have to be pi minus theta. Now, pi, we have to know, pi is simply 180 degrees, right? Now, let's move on. Part 1, in the case of theta equal to 1, so in case this is 1, we have to find the area of the sector BOC. BOC, so we have to find the area of this sector. Now we have to know area of a sector is what? It is half all square the angle. Let's call this theta prime. It's just the angle, okay? Now replace. Because we know this is 1, so the angle will be pi minus 1. So the area will be half all square will be 8 square, and angle will be pi minus 1. Let's see what do we have. Half times 64 times pi minus 1. That will be 68.5 according to part 1 of the question for the area of BOC. Now for part 2 of the question, for the value of theta, for which, so we have to find the value of theta for which the perimeter of the sector AOB, okay, this one is half the perimeter of sector BOC. Okay, so now we don't know the value of theta. We have to find this one by one. So let's see how can we find this. So let's first write down the equation that we are given. Part 2. The perimeter of AOB is equal to one half the perimeter of BOC. So we have this equation to solve to find the value of theta. The first one, how would you find the perimeter of AOB? By observation. AOB is this. Now the perimeter will be this plus this will be 8 and plus this, the length of arc. Now we know this is equal to r times theta. So again, arc length is equal to radius times the angle in between. Okay, so replace, you will have, this will be 8 plus 8 plus 8 theta equal to half times the perimeter of BOC. BOC, so we have to add this and add this, also add this. This will be again arc length r times theta. That will be what? R is the value of 8. Theta here is the angle in between. That will be this minus this. Okay, so let's write this down. Here we have 8 plus 8 and plus 8 pi minus theta for the perimeter of BOC. So now we have this equation. We have to solve for the value of theta. Okay, so we have to make them become the subject of formula. Now here we have 2. We can simplify, divide by 2. That will be 4, 4, and 4. Right. So you will have 8 plus 8 is 18 plus 8 theta. That will be 4 plus 4 is 8. Expand, you will have 4 pi minus 4 theta. Send all the theta to one side. You will have 8 theta plus 4. That will be 12 theta. And here we have 8 plus 4 theta minus 16. So theta will be what? 8 minus 16 plus 4 pi divided by 12. That should be 0.381. Correct to 3SF for the value of theta. Now the exact value was 0.3805. This is the exact value, and we convert this to 3SF for your final value or answer for this question. Now for part 3, in the case where theta equals to 1 over 3 pi, so we know pi is 180 divided by 3, that will be 60 degrees. In case where theta is 60 degrees, we have to show that the exact length of the perimeter of the triangle ABC is this. Now where is the triangle ABC? We have A, B, and C. So let's connect those points. Right. So let me just connect them. So we have triangle AB. Okay, and then C will connect with this one. Okay, cool. So we have to show that the length of the triangle ABC will be given by this one. So how would you find the perimeter of triangle ABC? By observation, we realize that 1, 2, 3. Let me write this here. The perimeter, as we can see, have to be what? Have to be the length of AB plus BC and plus AC. That makes sense, right? We have to add the distance around the triangle. Now AC is given to you, 8 plus 8, that will be 16. Now we have to find AB and BC. So let's observe how can we find those lengths. Pretty easy. So for this one, AB, we have what? If you observe, we have triangle ABO. This will be this, and this will be this. This is given to you by pi by 3, which is 60 degrees. You can write either way, either one of them. This is 8, this is 8. We have to find this length. So obviously we can use cosine rule or the sine rule. It depends which one you prefer to. I will use the cosine rule. Why not? Here we have cos of 60. That will be 8 square plus 8 square minus unknown, let's call it x square, over the value of 2 times 8 times 8. So cross multiply, let's see what happens. Now cos of 60 is what? That will be, here we have to use the degrees because it shows 60. That will be 0.5. That will be half is equal to, this will be 8 square plus 8 square. That will be 64. That is 128 minus x square. That will be over 128. Simplify. That will be 64 again. Then we cross multiply, you will have 64 equal to the value of 128 minus x square. So x square have to be 64. So finally, x have to be 8, which is this one, right? So this one we have found out the value of AB here have to be the value of 8. Now we have to find BC. Now to find BC again, we use the same idea. We take out the triangle that we have over here. You will have this triangle. So something like this. this, and joining them. This will be 8, 8, and this was 60 over here, so this have to be 180 minus 60. That should be what? 120. Okay, so how would you find this? Let's call this y. How would you find y? You will be using the cosine rule again. You can use cosine rule or sine rule depending on what you choose, because now the reason why I'm saying sine rule, if you guys haven't noticed yet, is because these two are the same, which means these angles have to be the same. You can find them and then use the cosine rule. It is up to you. Now here we have, again, we have to use cosine. We have cosine of 120. That will be 8 square plus 8 square minus this over the value of 128. So simplify. Cos of 120, that will be minus half. So minus 1 over 2, that should be 128 minus x squared. This. Now let's see what do we have here. So we have to simplify. That will be 64. That will be minus 64. That will be 128 minus x squared. So x squared have to be what? 128 plus 64. That will be 192. So root of that will be, so we don't have an exact value, that should be root of 192. So basically here we know that the length of BC was found to be root of 192. Replace right here, root of 192. So we have to simplify all this to show it becomes this. So let's see if that's possible. So now what is 192? We can simplify. First, let's add this to 8 plus 16 is what? It is 24, right? 8 plus 16 is 24. Now plus root of 192. So 192, it is also equal to what? Let's check. Because here we have 3 inside, let's divide by 3. 192 divided by 3 is 64. So 3 times 64. Now, root of 192 is the same as root of 3 times 64. Same as root 3 times root of 64. And now we know this is exactly equal to 8. You can check. Root of 64 will be 8. So it means that this will be 8 times this. So the answer will be 24 plus 8 root of 3. Okay, here you go. This will be your answer, shown as required for the perimeter of triangle ABC. The equation of a curve is y equal to this. Now again, the first thing I like to do is to rewrite this as 5x plus 4 power half. Right. Now, we have to find the gradient of the curve at the point where x equal to 1. Now the gradient is simply, we have to find dy by dx at the value of x equal to 1. So let's first find dy by dx. From this, dy by dx is what? Will be first multiplied by the power, that will be half. Then we have 5x plus 4 minus 1, that will be minus half to the power. Then multiply by d by dx of the value inside, that will be 5. So you have this simplified to what? 5 over 2. And then this will go down as 5x plus 4 power half. Now this is not done yet. We have to replace the value of x equal to 1 in this. So we have inside 5 times 1 plus 4 is this, root of half. So power half will be root of 9 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. That will be 5 over 6 will be your value for part 1 of the question. Okay. Now part 2. A point with coordinates xy moves along the curve in such a way that the rate of increase of x, which is rate is dx by dt, is equal to, has a constant value of 0.03. Okay, this is given to you by the question. Now we have to find the rate of increase of y when x equal to 1. So we have to find rate of increase of y, which is dy by dt. Equate that to, that will be, we have to use chain rule to form a formula we can use. Here we have dy on top, we have to write dy. And here we have dt at the bottom, we write dt. Now they are connected by what? By x, so that will be dx and dx. So now we know this part already. Dx by dt will be the value of 0.03. Now dy by dx will be what? as we have seen before, dy by dx at the value of x equal to 1 is equal to 5 over 6. So just replace, you will have 5 over 6 times 0.03. So 5 over 6 times 0.03, that should be 0.025 units per second for the rate of increase of y. Now for part 2, the area enclosed by the curve, the x-axis and the y-axis, and the line this. So we have to find the area enclosed. Again, to find the area enclosed, usually that will lead to what kind of question? Question with integration, right? So let's first have an idea. What does it look like? This is my x-axis and my y-axis. Now the area is enclosed by the curve at the x-axis, this x-axis, y-axis, and the line x equal to 1. So okay, so line x equal to 1 will be this one, right? For example, this is the line x equal to 1. Now we have to check where does it cut the x-axis. So at x-axis, the value of y will be 0. So we have to know that. So at the x-axis, the value of y is 0. Let's see where it cuts our x-axis. So replace back in your main equation. Here we have what we have. 0 is equal to root of 5x plus 4. That will be 5x plus 4 is equal to 0. So x will be minus 4 over 5. That will be minus 0.8. Let's check. Right. Now minus 0.8 should be somewhere over here, for example. Let me continue. So let's say it's somewhere over here, minus 0.8. So the idea is that the curve will pass somewhere over here, and then we'll go something like this. Now again, it is not the exact shape of the curve, it is just an idea, illustration on how we kind of picture this, right? It will keep going on, obviously. We don't know, I don't know, it's just a curve. So we have to find the area enclosed by the x-axis, which is this one, the y-axis, this one, and the line. So we have to find the area right here. So we don't need to go up till here, we just need to find the area enclosed by the y-axis, the x, and this. So we have to find this area right here. Now this is the area between 0 and 1 for the area under the graph. Again, the reason why I found the other point is because just in case, you know, if it was on this side, it will be, we have to take that into account. However, here we don't need to, because here we have enclosed by x and y. Before this, we only need this one of the area. So how do you find area in the graph? Well, you use integration. Limits will be 1 and 0. And then the equation was 5x plus 4 power half. That will be respect with x, dx. So 1 by 1. First thing, we have to increase the power by 1. So half plus 1 will be 3 over 2. Then divide by the same power. Then divide by d by dx of the value inside. That will be 5. And obviously, we have to simplify here. That will be what? 5x plus 4, 3 over 2. That will be 15, and that will be 2 here. And limits was given to you by 1, 0. So simplify. So here we have 2 over 15 outside. Inside we have, so 5 times 1 is 9. So 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 power 3 over 2 will be 27. So 27 minus, here we have 0. So 4 power 1.5 should be 8. 8, as we can see. So we took out the value of 2 over 5 outside. Inside we have only this left, so replace 1 first. 9 power 3 over 2 will be 27, and then replace 0 will be 8. So 27 minus 8, that should be 19. The answer will be 2 over 15 times 19, that should be 8 over 15, or you can just write 2 times 19 will be 38. Let's check. That will be 38 over the value of 15. And area will be units square for your area for this question. So here we have what? The equation of a curve is given to you by this. Okay? Now, part 1, express this equation in the form of this. So pretty easy. Stating the values of a and b. So first thing first, we have y equal to 8x minus x squared. Now, have to rewrite this as minus x squared plus 8x. Now we have to first verify the coefficient of x squared is 1. Here it is minus 1, so we have to factorize the value of minus 1. So y will be minus 1 outside, you will have x squared minus 8x. So now we can proceed, because now we have 1 here, we can proceed with the next steps. You have minus 1, here we have x squared minus 8x. Here we have to add a value. The value will be the value here, which is 8 divided by 2 squared. Now, when you add something, you also have to minus the same value, so minus 8 over 2 squared. Now, because it was inside the bracket, we have also to give it the value of minus 1. That makes sense, right? Now, let's see what else. So this, obviously, will be this, and let's see it simplify. That will be minus 1. Here we have x, and here we have minus. Here we have 4, and that will be this. So this will become this. Again, because here we have x squared, so here we have x, we have to write x. Here we have minus, we have to write minus. Inside we have 4, we write 4. Here we have square, we have to write square. Now here we have what? 4 squared is 16. Minus minus become plus. So here you have comparison, that will be, we have 16 minus x minus 4 squared. By comparing, this is your value of a, and this is your value of b. So a will be the value of 16, and b will be the value of minus 4, by comparison. Now for part 2, hence or otherwise, find the coordinates of the stationary point of the curve. So hence means we have to use this, otherwise you don't need to, it is up to you. So let's choose to not use this for now. For example, how would you find the stationary point of a curve? You know that at the stationary point, what do we know? dy by dx have to be 0. So let's find this. That will be 8 minus 2x have to be 0, right? That will be 2x have to be the value of 8, x have to be the value of 4. Now, for x equal to 4, y will be what? 8 times 4 is 32 minus 16, that will be 16. So the minimum point have to be 4 and 16. However, now if you want to use this result, very easy, the value at the end will always be the y value. This is y. This happens when this have to be equal to 0, which means x equal to value of 4. Again, you can see we can use that to find the stationary point. So that will be the stationary point was x equal to 4, y was equal to 16. Now again, we can see clearly, because here we have minus x squared plus 8x. Because the coefficient of x squared is negative, it will be a maximum point. So again, we don't need to know this here, but this is for your own good if you guys have to state if it is a maximum or a minimum point. Now for part 3 of the question, we have to find the set of values of x for which y is more than minus 20. So let's solve this. So y is given to you by this one. So here we have x minus 4 squared. Here minus plus 16 had to be more equal to minus 20. So simplify. So we send this over here, that will become what? X minus 4 squared more equal to the value of minus 36. So x minus 4 squared divided by minus 1, the sign will change, that will be 36. Now let's find the critical values. X minus 4 can be equal to plus minus 6. X can be the value of 10. X can be the value of what? Minus 2. Okay, so here we have the two critical values. Now we have to find the values of x, the set of values of x for which we have, this will be minus 2 and 10. Because here we know the shape of the graph at this point will be, again, the same shape here. Because at this point here, it was a minimum curve, right? At this point, we look at the coefficient is plus 1. Of course, here it is negative, it will be the other shape around. But here we look, it will be in this shape. Now, the value needs to be less than less will be below, right? So this is only possible when x will be between the values of -2 and 10. So this will be your answer for part 3 of the question. Again, this question comes up pretty often in ADMath. I hope you guys have done ADMath because it will be very helpful for this question. Now moving on to part 3. The function g is given by this. For more than, x has to be more than the value of 4. Again, we realize g of x is the same thing as the function here, which is the same equation. Let's write this down. G of x is given to you by 8x minus x squared. We know this is also 16 minus the value of x minus 4 squared. It was found in part 1, right? Now moving on, we have to state the domain and the range of this. So we have to find G inverse. No, we don't have to find, we just have to find the domain and range. So pretty easy. So first thing first, we have to realize that the range of G inverse is the same thing as domain of G. And the domain of G inverse is the same thing as range of G. So let's find out. So first thing first, to find the range of G inverse, we know the domain of G. So domain of G was given to you by this one. Domain is the x values. So it was given to you by x is more or equal to 4. However, range have to be in terms of y. So your answer will be y have to be this for the range of G inverse. Now moving on, we have to find the domain of G inverse. It is same as the range of G. Now pretty easy. We know the graph shape of G. The graph is what? It is a maximum curve, something like this, right? And the maximum point here for the y value was found to be 16, right? This is the point actually, maximum point, not minimum point, maximum point. Okay, so that will be this. So we know that we realize that this value occurs when obviously x equals to 4, but the range is only the y value. So what is the y values of G? As you can see, G can be anything equal to 16 and less, right? Can be from this point and going down, so and less. Range of G is y is less or equal to 16. From this, you conclude that x, because domain is in terms of x, again, the goal here is to find domain and not range. Domain is x and range is y, so we don't care about the y values here. We care about the domain. So domain have to be less or equal to 16. So again, as a note, when you have to find range, it means the y values. When you have to find domain, it means the x values. Now again, we are trying to use these values here to help us find these ones. So we know the domain of G is x more than 4, given to you by the question. Now to give the answer for the range has to be y, so y have to be more than 4. Same thing here. We realize the range of G is y is less than or equal to 16 according to the graph. Now to give the answer, it is a domain. Domain has to be in terms of x, so we go back, x have to be less than 16. That will be part 4 of the question. Now for part 2, we have to find an expression for G inverse. So step by step, we have to let y equal to G inverse. That will be 16 minus x minus 4 squared. Now we have to make x become the subject of the formula. So let's first send this over here. You will have x minus 4 squared. That will be 16 minus y. X minus 4, that will be plus minus root of 16 minus y. And then eventually we will have x have to be 4 plus root of 16 minus y. So we have to choose which one was correct, because as defined by the values of x here, has to be more than 4. So it has to be x has to be more than 4, so x has to be this plus this one, 16 minus 1. But finally, we know that G inverse, it is in terms of x, so we have to write 4 plus root of 16 minus x. This will be your answer for the last part of this question. This is the question regarding the chapter of function.